So who are you dreaming of? Your strange new employer?
Or should I dream of him?
Or perhaps a certain colonel?
Alison.
And of course, like, Charlotte, like, why would I dream about my new boss? Maybe keep that in the back of your mind. You know, there's a lot of progression in season 2 when it comes to Charlotte and her new boss. But right now, she's like, why would I dream of my new boss? So, you know, she's not there yet in regard to, you know, her interest in her new boss. Second of all, Allison mentioned about her Lennox. And of course, you know, Charlotte like, oh, don't rub it in my face. And you can see that Charlotte is uneven. She's still a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to like a new love. It just shows that she's just not 100% ready for a new relationship at the moment.
Not Sydney. Still.
That's the answer. So she still dreams about Sydney, and I think that's very normal. It takes a lot of time to heal and to move on and to accept the new reality that Sydney is no longer alive, and she still had that process of like missing him, and at the same time she's trying to move on from him, but it's tough. You know, there are constant reminders around her in Sanditon that remind her of Sydney, and that's kind of like transfer into her dreams.
I shall be calling on her today. You agreed you would help? With what? I am a tongue-tied buffoon in her presence. Tell me what to say.
I cannot put words in your mouth. Just speak of what you know. Be honest, and you cannot fail.
You can see that Captain Fraser really didn't want to help Captain Harder in this situation. He tried to not get involved. One, because he likes Allison too, and he doesn't want to cause conflict within this love triangle situation. I can't believe we got another love triangle in season 2. Anyway, it's just so typical. But yeah, Captain Fraser, I don't blame him. Like, you know, why you want to get involved in helping a man to win the heart of a woman that you also like. And he made a good point though, just be honest. Like, you got nothing to lose. She's very interested in you. To be yourself. Be honest. And as a good friend that he is, he doesn't want Captain Harder to look ashamed. Like, he doesn't want him to get in trouble with Allison. If Allison ever finds out that Captain Harder started with a lie and continued to lie about things that he like or know in life, you know, they're gonna make him look bad. So at the same time, Captain Fraser is protecting his friend. Like, you know, you need to start being honest with her and just show your true self, and she's gonna like you as you. I mean, she's already falling for you. Lockeye is a very talented artist. He's very passionate in drawing, and that's who he is. And he's trying to impress Georgiana. He's not giving up on her. I think she was very shocked that he was able to capture her without asking her to model, you know what I mean?
Miss Heybourne!
Colonel Lennox.
What luck to chance upon you here. May I walk with you a moment?
By all means.
I take it you're on your way to work?
Yes.
Becoming like their go-to spot to hang out. But Charlotte, she doesn't mind him. It just shows that, you know, she's cool with them, and they're still in that stage of like getting to know each other, and they kind of like started to like confide in each other a bit more, especially when she told him about her new job. But before that, he was like pretty chill about her having a job. A young woman having a job before marriage tend to be like not normal. But as a guy, Colonel Lennox doesn't have a problem with that, so she felt comfortable to talk about her job with him.
So what shards of wisdom shall you be imparting to your charges today?
French?
Ah, then I'm afraid I cannot be of assistance. I was a woeful schoolboy in my day. Unless, of course, you wish to teach your students a dozen different ways to say surrender.
When I heard that he said that he was a woeful schoolboy back in the day, I thought that should have been, like, one of those first clue about who he is. Like, if you were a bad kid in school, if possible, you become a bad adult later in life. Not trying to say that in a mean way, unless you improve yourself. So, you know, that word woeful, you know, that can play a role in his adult life. And we'll go back to that later this season as we go on. But he got off his horse. It just showed that he wanted to be close to her and have that same level voice, that same level, I guess to have that same level of conversation. And also he's very interested to talk to her again. You know, he keeps talking to her every time he went into her.
Alas, I fear there is little chance of them surrendering to me anytime soon, despite your advice on strategy.
There's no shame in beating a retreat, Miss Hayward. Positions are not for you.
Charlotte probably thinking like, oh hey, you seem very supportive of me to have the governance job, and now you're telling me that it's okay to surrender.
Do you doubt my ability?
Not for a moment. You deserve a position in which you're afforded the respect you're due. It speaks ill of your employer that you're not.
I agree with Lennox on the part where Charlotte deserves a better job in regard to like the people that she worked with. Those two girls give her a hard time since the very beginning. Mr. Heybourne, not the greatest boss. They started off with some disagreements, but they are working it out with one another, and Charlotte is trying to work it out with the two girls as well.
In truth, I hardly see my employer. He keeps his own counsel. But from what I have seen, I'm determined to keep my distance.
It sounds wise, Miss Hayward.
When Charlotte opened up a little bit more about working for Mr. Heybourne, it was kind of like inside information for Lennox. She was like listening in. But if you already know what happened in season 2, this is the moment when Lennox is trying to tell Charlotte indirectly, like, don't work for Mr. Heybourne. So maybe he has something against him, or maybe he knows something about Charlotte Boss that she doesn't know yet. But right now, it's like a little bit early, like he doesn't want to, you know, interfere with Charlotte's work relationship with Mr. Heybourne. Like he doesn't want to ruin her journey in having this job. He doesn't want to overstep. But you can tell, like, you know, indirectly, he's trying to like give her like some warning sign about working for this family. But Charlotte is the type of person that she's not gonna give up easily, and she's very determined. At the same time, she cares for these two girls, and she's willing to make it work with them.
Why are you here, Clara? Seeking shelter. That is all.
You have other family.
None worthy of the name. My uncle disowned me when he heard I was unwed and with child.
Clara trying to act innocent in being in Sanditon in the presence of her aunt and Esther. Esther, you know, she's not having it. She's just like, oh my goodness, like my half-brother, you know, had that intimate moment with Clara, and now she's pregnant with his child. Of course, Esther doesn't want to deal with that. She doesn't want to see that belly, especially after what happened with her baby daughter being stillborn. So this is a situation that Esther doesn't deserve to be in.
And you claim Edward is the father? You know he is. You were there the night he took advantage of me. Even while you lay gravely ill, Aunt.
So this is very awkward in a way, because, you know, back then in season 1, Esther had feeling for Edward, and she wanted to have that, you know, intimate relationship with him, but instead he had an intimate moment with Clara, and now Clara is pregnant. So this like going back into the past, and Esther already moved on and happy with her marriage to Lord Badminton.
Every day I regret succumbing to his charm. Oh, So Esther knows how persuasive he can be.
Then why not pursue him for shelter?
You think I have not? I've written constantly, begging him for support. But they all went unanswered.
So that showed that Edward really doesn't care about Clara being pregnant with her child. That's very irresponsible. But at the same time, though, he joined the army, right? So it's gonna make his reputation look bad. So, you know, he pretended to be this single guy, very committed to his job and to his country, trying to look good in the public eye. But people doesn't know that he screwed up Clara with a baby on the way, and that's gonna turn his reputation sour. So of course he doesn't want to deal with Clara and the unborn baby, and that responsibility of becoming a father. He doesn't want to deal with any of that.
Well, then I shall summon him here this morning. Let us see what he has to say for himself.
Edward is here. In Sanditon.
Clara had no clue, I guess, that Edward is in Sanditon, so, you know, she will try to find him, but Lady Dana will invite him to the house and have the family meeting. Esther is very annoyed. You see that look on her face at the end of this tea conversation. She wasn't having it at all. Like, she really doesn't want to deal with this.
How dare you? It is not even a good likeness.
Forgive me. I drew it from memory.
It was an act of gross presumption to do so without my permission.
Do I need permission to admire you, Miss Lamb?
Alrighty, so I guess I can understand why she got mad, but I don't know, like, I gotta give some credit to Lockhart, but it's very understandable. Like, she's like, you drew me like it kind of like intimate picture of her without her permission, and I think she was very impressed with how well it was, like the detail. I mean, drawing it from your memory, I think that was impressive of what he drew of her. But she's like, you know, what? It's kind of like creepy. Like, why are you drawing of me without my knowledge, without my permission?
And if you're so grievously offended, then why are you here?
What do you want from me?
Isn't that obvious? I wish to know you better.
I wish to know you better. It was obvious since the very beginning. Yeah, good point. Like, why did she go to his house? If she was offended or really mad at him, I think she would have stayed back at home and, you know, not even bother to talk to him or give him the attention that she's giving him right now.
That is how I see you. Doubtless it differs from how you see yourself, but maybe you could tell me how you'd like to be seen.
I like the dynamic in the new friendship. I don't know what will happen with them in season 3. I know some fans still support them. Let me know what you think of Lockhart and Georgiana. What he said, though, is basically invitation and offer to her, like, hey, I can, you know, draw another picture of you and you tell me how you like to be seen or portray in his drawing. But at the same time, it's a possible opportunity for him to hang out with her again and to have that opportunity to draw her again, and hopefully without any punishment the second time around.
Careful. Keep your distance.
The very first scene of this episode, I did not show it, but Mr. Heybourne's horse did not like the sound of the guns, the army men practicing their battle technique strategies. So that horse is like on this like high emotion from hearing those sounds, and it's just not himself. And Mr. Heybourne trying to settle his horse down, and Charlotte, of course, is concerned for the horse. Nice of Mr. Heybourne telling Charlotte to be careful. That's like the first nice thing he ever said to her.
What's his name?
Hannibal. He took fright early at the sound of gunfire, cannot seem to calm him.
First thing first, hand placement, like, you know, like the way he tried to stop her from continuing to walk forward closer to the horse. I wish the hammer pan lower, like to where his hand placement was, but you can see how Charlotte reacted. She's like, that's like the first time my boss like gave me an intimate touch, but he did it out of, you know, kindness and, you know, wanted to protect her, like he didn't want her to get hurt. It's nice of Charlotte to ask about the horse name. She really cared for the horse, and, you know, she didn't like, you know, seeing that horse be in that mood, you know, and he explained why his horse is acting like that. This is a very personal scene outside of work, technically, you know what I mean? It's dealing with his horse, and I think there's a great moment, opportunity for them to get a little bit intimate, personal with each other, you know, no topic about job, it's just dealing with this horse, and it's, you know, outside of the house, fresh air, so it's a little bit different environment for these two, and I think, you know, at the same time, Charlotte get to know him a little bit more, not as a boss, but as a man.
Miss Hayward. Miss Hayward!
He actually gave her an opportunity to deal with the horse. So he's like, okay, maybe she knows what she's doing, you know, and she was able to harm the horse. And I think that was like a metaphor. Am I using the right word? It's like, you know, somehow about her, like the horse know who good, who bad, you know what I mean? Like they can sense it. So the horse probably sensed something good about Charlotte, and her calm spirit, her sweet, gentle spirit, harmed the horse. And it's like a way of like, he trusts Charlotte, and I think it's a sign to Mr. Heybourne. I have a couple more opinion about this scene, but he definitely impressed by Charlotte. Charlotte's like giving him a couple more stares at him. He stared back at her for a few seconds. I think they just like had this like intimate moment between them. Like, I don't know if this makes sense, like this mental connection, if that makes sense. They were able to work as a team together to calm down this horse, and it just showed that he opened up a little bit to Charlotte. Like he trusted her for that one split of a second when she went up closer to that horse and she was able to calm him down. And she's like, okay, all right, you know, like, the girl got something, you know, unique, special. Yeah, it's just a very powerful mental connection in the scene, if that makes sense.
Come on.
Sydney, I don't remember like watching him ride a horse or like have that unique relationship with a horse that Mr. Heybourne has with his horse in the scene. So it's nice to have that different take on this new possible love interest in Mr. Heybourne for Charlotte. Sydney seemed to like to go out with friends, drink, play card game. He liked to do some fighting games. So these two guys like have like different hobbies and different interests. Like, and Mr. Heybourne liked to ride on his horse, and that horse means so much to him. And Charlotte showing that same love and support to the horse, I think that will mean something to Mr. Heybourne too. And I like how in this area of this house property, kind of like a farm life. So when watching the scene again, I felt like Charlotte was in her element because she lives on a farm with her family back home. So that little farm life and this house property is kind of like in the countryside, even though Sanditon is becoming more city type of place. This house property is like in the countryside, and it brings some comfort to Charlotte, I would say.
Miss Hayward! Thank you. That was bravely done.
I was raised around horses.
Perhaps you can use those same skills in taming my wayward niece and daughter.
Mr. Heybourne is very impressed, and it's really nice of him to thank her for her help. I feel like he's humbling himself a little bit more around her.
The skills required are not so different. Half the battle is winning their trust.
Indeed. Where are they now, anyway?
And at the end of this conversation, he asks about his, and she's like, oh boy, I hope he doesn't get mad at me again, because they started off with a couple of disagreement, with how Charlotte wants to teach and what he wants her to teach them.
What are your passions, Miss Hayward, besides poetry, well, of course, Cooper and the other greats?
I like to dance and sing. We keep a pianoforte at home. I have always longed to travel.
Captain Carter, he's trying to find something that she likes that he might truthfully like too. But this is a good start, try to get to know her. We'll see if he continues to lie to her about himself.
Have you travelled, Captain?
Well,
But of course, the war. You must have shown great courage.
I would not claim that.
You are too modest. Unless perhaps you cannot bear to speak of it.
Being in the army, of course, you travel a lot, and she tried to get to know him too and see if they can have more common interests with one another. He trying so hard to not lie again in this conversation. You can see the hesitation. He's like, well, if I say this, will she be impressed? Or if I say the other way, will she, not be impressed?
There was one battle in particular. We built a bridge to cross the Bidassoa, but it wasn't strong enough. I had to swim my comrades to safety.
Keep this in the back of your mind.
I tried to save as many as I could.
It must have been terrifying.
And, I don't want to spoil, too early, but, is that a true story or is it not a true story?
Lockhart has also thrown his hat into the ring, if his drawing is any measure.
Mr. Lockhart has drawn you? When did you sit for him?
Drew me from memory.
Georgiana knows herself the best. No one knows her that well except for herself. And she's trying to have that control back, that freedom to choose who she wants to marry.
We cannot consider him a potential suitor, Miss Hankins. An artist cannot offer the security and position Georgiana needs. And we all witnessed his behavior at the mess dinner.
Now we know why Mary is against the idea of Georgiana marrying Lockhart. So she already made up her mind. She's like, this is not happening. I don't like this guy. He's not the right fit for Georgiana. Being that murder beer, I want the best for Georgiana, and she has a lot of money, she has a lot of fortune and assets, and that man that she's gonna marry have to not only respect her, but also to respect her fortune and to protect her from the harms in the society. It gives some credit to both sides, but at the end of the day, it's Georgiana's life, and she should have the power to decide who she wants to marry, and, if she does want to marry or be single for the rest of her life.